Hi everybody, this is Osprey from MyChartCoach.com, and in this video we're going to take a look at some of the Bitcoin and blockchain related stocks and a couple of the marijuana sector stocks as well. So first up is LTEA. This is Long Island Iced Tea Corporation. So it did form the big gap up open last week on the 21st, and you could see the black candle formed and how it was floating above the upper Bollinger Band. So this is black candle, upper Bollinger Band is this solid purple line, and so many times when that happens during an uptrend, the candles will work back into the bands. Once again, that has happened here. The big punishment with holding with this setup is a gap down open, and that is what happened here. So the bulls were punished, whoever held, and the candles have slowly been fast, at a fast pace, have been working their way back into the bands, and so they're hitting currently a very key support level, the 200 and 300-day simple moving averages. Low of day today bounced off of the 200-day simple moving average at 379. That is the key level to hold. The 300-day simple moving average is at 403. So if it can stay above both of those levels, this could be where the reversal pattern could start. And so if they break, you have EMA 13 at 356 is the next support level, and then below that is way down here at the middle Bollinger Band with the 50 and 100-day simple moving averages between 260 and 288. So it's going to be real important that it holds this 200-day simple moving average at 379. If you look here at the 15-minute chart, you can see it's been in this long downtrend, and so it's been working on finding support, and it broke through the 50 simple moving average, the green line, and then it broke through the 100 simple moving average down here on the 26th, and then today it worked on the 200-day simple moving average. It's the red line, and so it bounced off of that level. It closed back above the middle Bollinger Band, and that's the key level to hold at 4.00. That is the dotted purple line. If this 200 simple moving average fails to hold, you could see a drop down here to the 300 simple moving average at 326. There is the big gap on the chart. That is the downside risk, is that the share price drops down and fills the gap. As you can see here, a drop down to 250 would fill the gap. So that is the downside risk. Many times when a stock pulls back and it hits the 300 simple moving average, it is the key level that it bounces off. If it holds that 200, that would be great for the bulls. And then what you want to see is a break above the 200 simple moving average here at 468. That would signal more upside potential. And then you have the descending resistance in this channel, and so notice how once there's a break above this 50 simple moving average in that red descending resistance line, that'll be a signal that LTA is heating up again. Okay, let's look at SRAX. Okay, so this stock had a bullish close above the middle Bollinger Band today. It came down and it bounced off the 50-day simple moving average here on Friday, and so that was a nice move. It held that 468 support level, and then today it closed above the middle Bollinger Band, currently at 554. So the close above that level is signaling that it could possibly try to get this uptrend going again. Notice it's been basically in this sideways channel, and so it needs to just basically break, hold that middle Bollinger Band support, and then break above this upper Bollinger Band, and then the closing price here on the 18th. Break above both of those levels, then you've got the closing price here, the high close from November at about 775. And so if it fails to hold that middle Bollinger Band, you'd likely see that 50-day simple moving average tested. As long as the 50-day simple moving average is holding, it still can keep this uptrend going. If it breaks below that level, that's going to signal downside risk, and you could see a drop down to that 300-day simple moving average and the 100-day simple moving average. Okay, let's look at DPW. Okay, so this stock has pulled back down to this middle Bollinger Band on the daily chart. Here it is, bouncing off of that level currently at 389. It's having a tough time breaking EMA's 4 and 8 resistance. That's the pink and the lime line. If it can get above 443, then it could push higher again. You want to see a break above the closing price on the 18th. That is the key level to break. And then you want to see that middle Bollinger Band hold if you're a bull, because if it breaks, there's a potential it could drop all the way down to this 50-day simple moving average at 198. Notice there is an unfilled gap down here, so a drop down to that 50-day simple moving average would fill that gap. There is another gap that's way down here as well, so keep that in mind. It needs to hold that middle Bollinger Band to keep the uptrend going. Okay, let's look at RIOT, RIOT. Okay, so yeah, it's been holding EMA's 4 and 8 support. It's still in a nice uptrend. It pulled back and bounced off the middle Bollinger Band last week on Friday. It held that middle Bollinger Band, had a big gap up open. There is an unfilled gap below. If it dropped down to 26, it would fill that gap. Currently, it's holding EMA's 4 and 8. As long as those levels are holding, the chart's still strong. It has to bust through 32, and then the big resistance level above is going to be up here just above 38, that closing price on the 19th. Once it gets above that level, it'll signal it wants to head higher. If you see a drop below this EMA 13 and the closing price here, that's going to be putting the middle Bollinger Band back on deck. The middle Bollinger Band needs to hold to keep this uptrend going. Once that breaks, that's when you could see a drop down to that 50-day simple moving average at 1481. Okay, let's look at MARA. Okay, so Marathon here is trying to get back above the middle Bollinger Band. It pulled back, it bounced off the 300-day simple moving average. That's the blue line here. It's been holding it. It held it last time, when it bounced at the end of November. And so, it needs to hold that level. If it drops below the 300-day simple moving average and it turns into resistance, that's going to be your signal that the chart is broken and it could pull back lower. You notice that it's bouncing on very light volume. There's hardly any volume. Volume has dried up here. And so the big thing on this chart is the middle Bollinger Band currently at 510. So if you see the share price above 510 and the close above that level, that will be bullish, and then we'll be putting the high close resistance levels back on deck. You're looking at the closing price here at about 630 or so. The closing price on the 18th is the big level, and you have the close just right above it. So this is the big zone. We've talked about this before. The two closing prices here on the 27th of November and here on the 18th of December, it has to break above those levels to head higher. If it doesn't get back above 510, that's going to signal downside risk, and you could see that 300-day simple moving average tested. If the middle Bollinger Band turns into resistance, that signals that it's in a downtrend and that it could head lower. Okay, let's look at Canopy Growth. Okay, this is ticker symbol WEED on the Toronto Stock Exchange, and then it's ticker symbol TWMJF on the over-the-counter markets. And then so what we have here on for this OTC play is just a super strong uptrend. I'm going to show you the weekly chart today. I showed you the daily chart yesterday, and so you can see here it's just cruising. It's busting out higher this week. It's hitting 22. It's on blue sky breakout. It's making new all-time highs. And so yeah, as long as the EMA4 support is holding on this weekly chart, the signal is just to keep riding. It's been doing really well. It bounced down here. This is the the call down here at 5. We called this bounce back in June, and then it's been heading higher ever since, and it's been just a great longer-term swing trade. It was this has just played out perfect so far. Of course, the Constellation Brands jumping in really helped. As long as the uptrend continues, the signal is just to keep riding. So congrats everybody. Let's look at GLNNF. If you look here, it formed the black candle today. So they came out. There was some confusion about the press release today, but basically they had a private or they had a public offering where it was $10 million, basically $10 million of dilution. And so that's what this big pullback. I think it was announced on this day on the 28th, and it sounds like that's been complete. And so they had some news out today about that, and so they are sitting on $17 million in cash. and so that is very positive. What needs to happen, it has to get above the middle Bollinger Band. So you know, the middle Bollinger Band at 188 is still the big level to break. It's been, you know, under a lot of pressure ever since it hit this level on the 28th. It had just been cruising for an extended period of time, and then finally it just broke down, and then, you know, it had the you know, so basically, you know, the dilution, it always kills rallies, and so once the pressure stops, you know, this thing can, you know, should be able to head higher. It's got, you know, there's not many over-the-counter stocks that are penny stocks that are sitting on 17 million in cash. That's pretty huge. Okay, so the downside risk is there is an unfilled gap here, and that's at down here at 170. If it drops down to EMA4, that would fill the gap between high of day yesterday and low of day today. If it gets above 188, then you're looking at a potential run back up here to the upper Bollinger Band at 246. The all-time high close for this stock is up here at $3. So a break above 3 would signal, you know, that it wants to head higher. Today there was a PSAR bull flip. You know, it did form the black candle today. The black candle didn't form above the upper Bollinger Band, and it's not currently in an uptrend. It was trying to bounce, you know, it bounced down here, you know, formed the bullish reversal pan. It's trying to reverse. The black candle though last time did signal a pullback. And so, you know, just always keep that in mind. You know, it's all about when you get the gap up during an uptrend above the upper Bollinger Band. You know, that's when you see the candles work their way back into the bands. So this is, we discussed this today in the chat. This is a little bit of a different setup down here because it's at the bottom and it's trying to reverse as opposed to being at the top and possibly pulling back. So that's the difference here between this and maybe the IGC chart where it closed above the upper Bollinger Band and then pulled back into the bands today. Okay, yeah. So for GLNNF here on the 15-minute chart, you can see the gap down here to 171. You know, that would be you know, pulled back to that level. That was the high from yesterday. That would fill the gap. That would be a drop down here to the 200 and 300-day simple moving averages at 168, 169. So yeah, look for a potential you know, for them to fill that gap and then push it higher. You know, that would be the likely thing that would happen. You know, it would be best if it held the middle Bollinger Band. If you're below 178, that would keep the uptrend going. It's currently above all the moving averages. What we were looking for was a break above the 300 and 200-day simple moving averages, and that did happen today. The only thing is there's an unfilled gap, and many times over-the-counter stocks will fill a gap, you know, so that just happens. It'd be better to get it out of the way as opposed to having a place to a target for a future date. Okay, so let's look at GOHE here. Yeah, the stock came down, bounced off the middle Bollinger Band. It's trying to get keep the uptrend going. You know, it formed this candle on Friday that's pretty much a hammer on Friday. You know, a bullish hammer, and you know, has this very small upper wick. And so that was the bounce candle after the big pullback. It formed right on the middle Bollinger Band, you know, and then that was confirmed on Monday, and then now, or Tuesday, and then today you had the nice follow through. So as long as the middle Bollinger Band at 7 cents is holding, this uptrend is intact. It did close back above EMAs 4, 8, and 13. That's the first close above those levels since the chart started breaking down. So we want to see that level those levels turn into support, and then work its way back up to the high close, which is up here at 12 cents. So that is the big level to break on this chart. You know, you want to see 6 cents hold. It really needs to stay above EMAs 4, 8, and 13. If it drops back below those levels, that would be a signal that it's cooling down. Okay, let's look at RMHB. Okay, the stock closed up 28% today. It's still in the bull zone on the RSI. You know, this has a nice setup here. You know, it's been you know, started the uptrend with the break above the middle Bollinger Band on the 19th. It worked on getting above the 50-day simple moving average, you know, and it closed back above that level yesterday, and then today it's pushing higher. It did close above high close horizontal resistance today. That was the closing price on the 20th. And so that's signaling more upside. The next target is up here at the 100-day simple moving average at 0.0243. If this uptrend continues, it should head to that level. It will need to close above that level and turn it into support to head higher. Okay, let's look at MYHI. Yeah, this is another a medical marijuana company that has a good uptrend going. It's been breaking resistance, very similar to the last chart. Got above the middle Bollinger Band, that's the dotted purple line. It turned the 50-day simple moving average into support. It had been working on the 100-day simple moving average, and now it's trying to push higher. The key level to break is this high close in December. It closed right at that level today. And then you can see the next key level to break after that is the 200-day simple moving average just above 10 cents. That's the key level to close above tomorrow. You want to see it close above these two levels. That would signal more upside. Then it could possibly run up to this 300-day simple moving average at 14. Notice there's good volume behind the move. And that would a move up to that 300-day simple moving average. If you look at the previous resistance levels from over here on the left, and it looks like it's working its way back up to 14. It's filling the jar. Look how much bigger the volume is over here than over here on the left. This has got some ammo behind it. So yeah, volume usually precedes price. Okay, LVVV, right? So it's been on this nice run. It took a breather today. We've been talking about this stock. Yeah, so I wanted to show you this one here because you can see the it's difficult to read, but you can see the upside potential. It's been up here 15, 16 cents back in 2014, and it broke out this week. It had this nice multi-day run, and so you could see, last week it started running, and then it followed through yesterday, and then today it cooled down. It almost formed bearish meeting lines. It did not, but it formed this indecision type candle. What it needs to do is stay above EMA 4, which is way down here at 0.0116. So if you do see the candles retrace, you could see a bounce off of that level. You really want to see it stay above 16 if you are a bull. It has to break above the open, which is 18.7. That would signal that it wants to push higher. Like I said, it's on a very parabolic move here, so you could see it pull back. EMA 4 is the first big support level below. Okay, so let's look over here at EVIO. Okay, so this one is heating up. So it had the break above resistance today. The high close from down here at 80 cents. And then today it also closed above $1, so that was a big move. And so now if it can stay above $1, that would be very bullish. If it ends up dropping below $1, that's when you could see it work back into the bands. And then what you'd want to see is that EMA 4 down here at 78 hold. It's got a new uptrend going here. It's got a nice a reversal from this big pullback, and so if it can stay above $1, it could keep pushing higher. So keep an eye on it. And let's look at ERBB for the last chart in this video. This stock has been in a big downtrend. It had some big volume last week. You can see the big volume spikes, and now it's starting to heat up. It did form a doji today after a gap up open, so that looks like a bearish doji star reversal pattern. You could see the candles work back into the bands. Look at 0017 is the key level to hold. As long as the middle Bollinger Band down here at 0.0013 is holding, the uptrend is intact. This has a history of making some big runs. Usually volume precedes the price, so keep an eye on this classic marijuana company. Okay, thank you very much for viewing this video. If you'd like to learn more, yeah, this is the Nipton company. The one who bought the town, and so you can read about it. So yeah, anyways, thank you very much for viewing this video. Please hit the like button at the end of the video if you like the video, and please subscribe to the YouTube channel, and I'll post a link to the chat and stock app at the end below the video. Thank you.